Welcome to this guide for the Super License challenges on Gran Turismo 7. We're going to be going through all 10 challenges and how to get a gold in each one. If you want to forward to the particular challenge you're having difficulty with, then the timestamps are in the description and you should actually be able to click through at the bottom of the screen. Before we get started, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and give the video a like if you find it helpful. And I also wanted to say that this guide is how to get gold rewards in each of the challenges. It's not necessarily how to get the absolute maximum lap time, but you should be able to comfortably beat each of the requirements for gold. So all of the challenges are 1 lap time attacks. The first one, we're in the Lamborghini Aventador at the high speed ring. So it's quite a fast car and it's a little bit unstable at speed, especially when coming off the throttle. So we want to go up to 7th gear and we can take turn 1 flat. We just need to make sure we're nice and high on the outside of the track, and then we get the right angle through the corner, and then looking for the 200-meter board, braking just before that down into 3rd gear. I found it useful to take quite a high line here because it gave me better acceleration on the exit of the corner. We're not using any traction control for this one, as you can see. Then braking just before the 100-meter board, down into 3rd gear, and then down into 2nd just to get a little bit of rotation, and back up to 3rd. And then we're going to do the same thing for the left-hander here, down to 3rd, get the rotation, and then we're short shifting up to 3rd just to help us with traction on the exit of the corner. And then we're going to go up to 5th gear, take the right hander flat, and then as soon as we're pointed in a straight line, we're going to begin our braking. So right there, clipping that curb on the inside, and then because this corner's banked, we can take quite a wide line on the exit, and that enables us to get on the power nice and early, avoid that wall on the right hand side, and then we're just shifting up through the gears until we cross the line and we do a 1:11.0. So the second challenge is a 1 lap around Monza in the Ferrari F50, and you can see here I'm using a little bit of traction control just to help me with the wheel spin coming out of the hairpins. I had one previous attempt and I just spun coming out of the hairpin, so I thought I'd have a go with the traction control on one, and actually it made quite a big difference and it's not too difficult of a challenge to complete. So you can see there we're completely dealing with the wheel spin using that traction control. I should mention as well, at turn 1 you were looking for the 200-meter board as your braking zone. So up through the gears, then sticking over to the right hand side as we go through Curva Grande, and then looking for the 200-meter board again. You need to brake quite early in this car because the brakes are not the best. Down into 2nd gear, clipping each of the apexes, and then you can see there the traction control working quite hard, but it keeps us on the track. It just makes this challenge a little bit easier because the time's not particularly difficult. Down into 2nd gear, and then again you can see the traction control working quite hard, but again it just helps to keep us on the track and get the license completed. And then 2nd gear again, up through the gears as we head down towards Ascari, which is probably the trickiest part of the track. You just need to make sure you don't go in too hot and unsettle the car. Especially with any road cars on this game, you need to be very careful of the weight transfer. So braking just between the 200 and the 150, then down into 2nd gear. I probably took just a little bit too much speed through there, so we're a little bit careful on the exit of the corner, and then full speed ahead. As you can see, the traction control having to work to avoid me spinning coming out of there. So yeah, it's one of those ones where you can do it with the traction control off, but it will take a lot more practice, and I just kind of wanted to get this one done. Braking just after the 150-meter board for Parabolica, and then there was a less grip than I was expecting here. We ended up right on the outside of the track, and you can see the rear wanting to step out completely there, and then over to the right hand side to cross the line. But you can see there, first lap we finished and we are still nearly 2 seconds ahead. So yeah, definitely try it with the traction control on. I would recommend for that one. Challenge 3 is a 1 lap of Tsukuba in the Nissan Silvia touring car. Now this car is quite nice to drive, it's got quite a lot of grip. So we're on the traction control 0, down to 2nd gear, and try and keep it nice and close to the apex. We can get on the power quite early on the exit of the corner. Just make sure you don't understeer wide. With this car, if you get on the power too early, you can understeer wide a little bit. Trying to brake in a straight line and down to 1st gear because that just helps with the tightness of the corner, and then short shift up to 2nd, and then a little dab of the brakes for the right hander here, and then we can get full gas and flat out through the left part of the corner here, and then again making sure we're braking in a straight line, and we're going to go down to first again just to help with a little bit of rotation, and then on the power nice and early, and then up through the gears as we head towards the final corner. It's obviously quite a short lap, this one is, and then we're going to go down 2 gears and keeping it nice and tight on the entry of the corner. And this is where you've got to be really careful with the throttle. You see I have to lift off a little bit here and then get back on. If you get on too early, you just end up understeering wide. But we've done a 58.1, so again about 2 seconds faster than the required time. Challenge 4 is a 1 lap around a variation of Tokyo Expressway, and we're in the Toyota Supra GT500, which is a very nice car to drive. So we're going to be looking for the 50-meter board here, braking just before that down into 4th gear, and then trying to get the power as quick as we can because it's a very long straight here. You need to make sure that you avoid all the barriers though, because as soon as you touch a barrier, your lap time will be disallowed. You can see here we've not set a time just yet, but we have had a couple of goes that have just been disallowed by the barrier. So the first lap we actually got in was a good one, and then we're braking just after the 150-meter board down into 2nd gear, and then this is a very tricky part of the track. Watch my throttle control through here. I'm not going full throttle at any point. I'm short shifting up to 3rd, and then it's not until we get out of the dock section that we go up to full throttle. So it's very easy to lose the rear of the car just there. Then down 1 gear into 4th gear for this corner. Didn't get the best exit there, just had a little bit of understeer, and actually you could gain a lot of time getting a good exit there because we've got a long flat out section now. Although there's a few curves, there it is completely flat. You may recognise this track as well from the Olympic qualification event. It's exactly the same track, but at that time we were in a Toyota Supra as well, but the current Group 3 one, I believe. Okay, right, looking for the 150-meter board again, braking just after that, down into 2nd gear. It's quite a tight corner, make sure you don't get lost and end up going into the car park there, which I actually managed to do on a previous attempt, and then up the hill then, and this is quite a crucial part of the track too. We're going to be looking for the 50-meter board, braking just after that, down 1 gear, and then up to 5th again, then drop it down to 4th for the rotation. A quick dab of the brakes for the right hander, then we're going to rev it out in 4th gear before going down to 3rd, and then on the power as quick as we can up through the gears, and then we're going to head towards the line to set a 1 minute 57.1, so nearly 3 seconds ahead on that one. The 5th challenge is a dirt track challenge. We are in the Toyota GR Yaris at Sardinia. Is that how you pronounce it? I think that's how you pronounce it anyway. So I'm not the best rally driver really. The only tips I can give you are essentially just try and turn in a little bit earlier than you think you need to. And I don't really use an awful lot of the brakes here. And generally if the car's pointing in the right direction, I'm at full throttle. So you can see here I'm at full throttle. Get the car rotated and then just full throttle again. With this challenge, I would say that there was a bit of a glitch a couple of days ago, maybe around a week ago, where you were on the wrong tyres here. So if you've tried this previously and you found it really hard, it might be because you were trying to do it on comfort soft tyres. Polyphony have updated the game and now given you the dirt tyres, which does make it a hell of a lot easier. So we can do this section here completely flat, going up to 5th gear as we head towards the hardest part of the track, because it's a little bit more technical. So we are using the brakes here down into 2nd gear again. Like you can see, I'm trying to just keep it turned in early, trying to get that early turn in, and then on the power as soon as you can on the exit again. Like I said, I don't really know what I'm doing on a dirt track. I'm just kind of winging it a little bit here, and then fast forwards ahead to the line. There's a little jump there. Make sure the landing, make sure you take off in a straight line and you land in a straight line, because otherwise you can lose control of the car. Challenge 6 is probably the most difficult so far, and we're in the Ford Shelby GT350R at Trial Mountain, and this car is a bit of an animal and it is quite difficult to control. So we're going to go down to 3rd gear here, being really careful with the weight transfer and not getting on the power too early. You can see here, watch the throttle control for most of the lap, and you can see it's very delicate. And we're braking again, we're not going to full braking, and we're making sure we slow the car down with plenty of time before each corner, and again on the throttle very carefully. braking down into second gear here, again nice and early, and then getting on the power, and you can see there we're just losing the rear a little bit but keeping it under control. I did try this with traction control on, but it just kills so much of your power, you lose a hell of a lot of time, so we didn't actually beat the goal time. So down into second gear here, trying to get really over to the left hand side here so you get the best exit for the long back straight. It's very important you get a good exit there because you need to make sure you maximise your speed down the back straight. This straight is of course now much longer than it used to be on the original Gran Turismo games, but it's absolutely fantastic to see this track along with Deep Forest Raceway back in the game. So we have to brake quite early for this corner here, making sure it's before the start of the curbs, down into second gear, and we're keeping it right over to the left hand side. Obviously you don't have to stick to the road markings because we're racing, we're not driving on the road. And then again through this section, look at the throttle, look at the brake, and just see how careful I'm being with the steering input as well. A lot of coasting through some of these corners, and then only getting on the power once you're pretty much in a straight line, because otherwise the car will just want to snap on you. And again, little bit of throttle, and then only to fall once we're in a straight line. And now this final corner is quite challenging. It's a lot sharper than you think it is, and you need to brake quite early. You see we brake a little bit late, so we're turning in quite early just to help slow down the car a little bit, into first gear and then second for the final corner. Don't be too greedy on the power there because it's very easy to lose it on the final corner. And then straight run down towards the line, and we're going to cross the line with a 2:13.4, so around about a second and a half faster than the gold requirement here. Challenge 7 sees us at Laguna Seca in a Super Formula car, so this is going to be an absolutely rapid lap, so I will try to keep up. We're looking for the line on the right hand side there, braking just after that and down into second gear. A late apex for the second corner, and then that enables us to get on the power nice and early. We're going to shift down one gear, making sure we clip the apex there. Completely avoid the sausages though, the sausages will send you off the track. We're flat through the right hander there if you can get the right angle, and then up into sixth gear, revving this car out, down into third, and then on the power as quick as we can to get the best acceleration up the hill. You're going to be braking between the final two boards there and keeping it in fifth gear on the power as soon as we can on the exit of the corner, making sure you don't run wide. And then we're looking for the line on the right hand side there, down into second gear on the power as soon as we get the car straight, and the next corner is going to be completely flat out. And then we're going to be going down 2 gears here, but you only need to go down 1. That was a bit of a mistake from me. And then looking for the board on the right hand side, down into first gear. We missed the apex just a little bit, and then on the power and accelerated up to the line. You can see we've already beat the time, but I knew there was a lot more time in the car, so I wanted to go again. And we do a 104.8, so quite a lot quicker than the goal requirement for this one. Challenge 8 sees us in the Pagani Zonda at Interlagos, and we need to brake much earlier than we did in the previous challenge. So we're going to be looking for the 100-meter board there, down into second gear, and we can take quite a lot of curbs through the center S without getting any penalty. And then watch the throttle control through this left-hander. You don't want to go on the power, full power, too soon, because then you can understeer wide over that curb and have your lap time deleted. And then we're going to be looking for the 100-meter board, braking before that and down into second gear, not getting on the power too early. And you want to kind of avoid that curb on the right hand side because that can really unsettle the car. So it's flat through the left hander, and then we're looking for the 100-meter board and down into third gear here, and then just being very careful on the throttle. Again, you don't want to go on the power too soon because you understeer wide. And then we're going to go down into first gear, take a lot of curb. First gear just helps us with rotation and making sure we're nice and close to the apex. Being very careful with the throttle application again as we come out of there, and then we're going to go down to first again to help with the turning, and being careful on the exit of the corner once again. And you can see all through the left hander we're not going full throttle until we're in a straight line. They're looking for the 50-meter board, and we're going to brake quite a lot before that and down into second gear. And again, just really being patient with that throttle because otherwise you will get too much wheel spin and you'll lose control. You can see we're not using any traction control for this one. Then it's full throttle all the way to the line. Sticking over to the left hand side for the shortest route, you can see we've already done a 130.2, but I wasn't pleased with my lap, so I wanted to go again, and we've done a 129.7. Challenge 9 is in the Nissan GT-R Super GT car, or Group 2 car as it is on this game. This is the one challenge we're going to be using brake balance towards the rear just to help with a little bit of turning. We're braking just after the 100-meter board for turn 1, down into second gear, and then trying to get on the power as early as we can. We're at Deep Forest Raceway for this one, another new track, or an old track that's been brought to Gran Turismo 7. Down into third gear here, and you want to make sure you're trying to brake for this right-hander in a straight line, and then you can get on the power quite early on the exit there because it opens up on the exit of the corner, and you can do the same thing for this right-hander too, on the power nice and early for the exit. Full throttle through here, and then we're going to brake just over the brow of the hill, down into third gear, and then full power again, down into second gear. Make sure you don't brake too late there because you can run wide. We've just clipped the curb on the inside there and lost a little bit of time on the exit of the corner because we've unsettled the car. So I think we just did one wheel in the grass and that just unsettled the car a little bit. It's quite important to get a good exit out of that corner for a good lap time here because it is such a long back straight. And then we're going to be braking at the 100-meter board there, down into first gear for the sharpest corner on the track, and then making sure we get a nice exit, which we do, and then it is going to be full throttle all the way to the line and keeping over to the left hand side. Make sure you don't drive into the pit lane by accident, and this corner is flat out here. It's quite funny doing this challenge after driving the Zonda because the Zonda's much faster in a straight line, but the GT-R has much better brakes. But we're going to cross the line with a 1:23.0 then, around about a second and a half faster than the gold requirement. The final of the Super License challenges is a 1-lap time attack of Spa in the Porsche 917K, and we're on a partially wet track here, which makes it extremely challenging. So looking for the 100-meter board and braking just before that down into first gear, and we want to make sure we completely avoid the curb on the exit there. So that's going to be a theme for this lap, is narrow exit from each of the corners because we want to avoid those curbs. The curbs are extremely wet and will make you spin. We're going to go down into third gear here, lots of coasting, and then gently on the throttle as we go up the hill, making sure we're in a straight line before we go to full throttle, and just trying to stick to that drying line. So you can see there's definitely a drying line on the track, and you want to avoid all the damp patches as much as possible. Braking at the 150-meter board then, and you can see once again we're not getting over too much to the left hand side in the braking zone, trying to stick to where it's dry. Very careful through the chicane here then, and again a narrow exit on the corner because it's very easy to end up on that curb, and if you do, it's extremely wet and will just spin you out immediately. And then second gear for the long right hander. I'm not sure if I mentioned it so far, but we're using traction control on setting 1 just to help with a bit of wheel spin. Again, avoiding that curb on the exit of that corner there that you would normally take in the dry, and it's very tricky going through pool. So we're going to go down into third gear, just letting it coast, a little bit of brake, a little bit of throttle, and keeping it nice and careful, and then not getting on the throttle until we're in a straight line once again, and then braking just before the 50-meter board down into second gear. We've gone a little bit deep there, but we managed to avoid the wet patch and get it turned in still, and then again careful on the throttle up into third gear, and then we're going to go down into second once again, and again just making sure you don't go too wide there. We ended up on the curb a little bit. We short shift into third here, and then just let it coast from the start of the corner. You can see the car wanting to lose the rear there, and then next corner would normally be flat in the dry, but we're going to have to use a little bit of brake. I think you can keep it in fourth there, but I went down to third. I wanted to get the lap finished without any dramas. Down to third for the left-hander. Again, wait until you're in a straight line to go full throttle. Braking just after the board that goes above the track there, and down into first for the final chicane. And then it's really important on the exit of the chicane to keep over to the left hand side. You don't want to end up on that curb on the right. You can see just how wet it is. That will completely ruin your lap. So that's a 2:24.8 there. There's definitely more time with a bit of practice, but I was getting quite frustrated with this challenge, if I'm being honest. When you do it, I'm sure you have to reset a number of times. Now, if you are really struggling with this final challenge, there is a way to make it a little bit easier, and that's by turning on the counter steering assistance. So I've made a video about this that goes into it in a little bit more detail, but essentially when I turned it on and had to go at the lap once again, I immediately gained 3 seconds on my time. So if you are really struggling and want to get that goal and just aren't able to, I would definitely recommend giving that a go. Check out the video for a bit more information on that. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you found this video useful. If you have, then give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing if you haven't already. And I will see you again back on Gran Turismo 7 very soon.